Hey looters, Flutes here, and today I want to talk about the best feats for druids in D&D 5th edition today on Flutes Loot. You can find a list of these top 10 druid feats on flutesloot.com by finding the link in the description down below, which will take you right to it, so you don't need to take notes. You can bookmark it for later, send it to a player who's using druids, or whatever you want to do. Druids have a luxury in that they don't need much investment in their stats. Constitution and Dex of like 14 is pretty adequate for them, and then Wisdom all the way after that, and anything else is kind of up to their discretion. This opens up druids to not have to focus too much on taking stats with their ASIs, but instead getting a few feats to make them more fun. It's notable that many abilities from racial traits can carry over into your wild shape, unlike spells like Polymorph, which is why you'll see a racial feat or two from Xanathar's Guide to Everything on this list. As always, feats that provide stat boosts, a +1 in a relevant stat, will be especially useful. And the druid is a spellcaster, so inherently it will tend to benefit most from spell-based feats. Druids also have the limitation of not wearing metal armor, which kind of rules out some of the feats to upgrade their armor, like if you wanted to make them wear heavy armor, or DMs waiving that no metal rule if they don't really care about it. They can hand wave it. Number 10 on my list is Infernal Constitution, a racial feat for tieflings. This feat boosts your constitution by 1 and gives you resistance to poison and cold damage. Remember that the Dungeon Master's Guide also says that if you're in extreme cold type of climate, cold damage resistance translates to not being so susceptible to the cold. So similar to the Goliath race having the ability to acclimate and be comfortable in high altitudes and extreme cold, anyone with cold resistance has the same benefit. It makes sense to me that a druid would have resistance to cold damage as part of the elements, and poison damage, part of the natural world from little critters. So you'll have 3 damage resistances after you take this feat, and a boost to your constitution. These resistances will cover you while you are in wild shape, so moon druids who are wild shaping often can still benefit from it. The fire resistance also makes a lot of sense for a wildfire druid. If you have an odd stat in your constitution and want to round it out, this is a great way to increase your durability and your hit points. Number 9, Bountiful Luck. A halfling-only feat, again from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Halflings inherently have the ability to re-roll 1s on their d20s. Attacks, ability checks, saving throws, they all re-roll 1s. It's an excellent racial ability, and now we have the ability to share the love, or share the luck at least. Druids are not very dependent on their reactions. They're not setting up to do opportunity attacks typically. Maybe some wild shape builds would do so, but not typically a concern. They don't have counterspell. Reactions are a wide open opportunity for your druid. If you're a halfling, in addition to having some fun being small, moving through things, and being able to ride creatures that medium-sized creatures normally couldn't, you can utilize your reaction to help your allies when they roll 1s, as long as you're not too far away. Even in wild shape form, you can use this. Those you play this game with will love you if you help them reroll 1s. Rolling a 1 is a terrible fate that, yes, it can be funny and enjoyable, but if you can reroll it and your ally helped you do it, you're going to be that person's friend. You can do this without limitation other than your reaction. So if you use your reaction, you won't be able to help the next person who rolls a 1. Hopefully that doesn't happen. And you won't be able to use your own bountiful luck for the remainder of the round. If you're casting spells that don't require you to roll a d20, though, that's not a big deal because you don't need to be rolling any d20s and saving yourself from any 1s. Watch out for enemies attacking you and making you do a saving throw, though, because you might need that ability to reroll 1s if you need to make a concentration check on your valuable spell, for example. Number 8, Observant. This feat is in the player's handbook. It's been around since the beginning. It allows you to boost your wisdom score. Makes it so you get a +5 to your passive perception, which is very valuable. Perception is debatably the most valuable skill in the game. And you can read lips. Has that ever come up in your game? Most games probably not. But picture this, you're in wild shape form and you are a bird or some other animal, and your animal eyes are keen. You sneak up and you are watching what's happening very carefully, incognito as a little beast. And you look very closely and you see what their mouths are saying, even though you can't get too close without arousing suspicion. Not only that, if there's a snake sneaking up behind you to try to eat you, your passive perception is going to be very high, so that even in your animal form, you can see it coming. And don't forget that passive perception is what you'll need to avoid ambushes. So if your DM is not opposed to surprising your party once in a while with an ambush or some other surprise, then watch out, because your passive perception should be high if you want to avoid that. There's also, in many of the module books, for example, secret doors or different details you'll notice if you have a passive perception high enough to notice it. The observant feat on a druid pretty much makes you an automatic noticer for the party. Number 7, healer. Druids like to heal. They have good healing spells. They're often nurturing druidic folk. Some of them are not so much, but some of them are. And the healer feat can protect some of your spell slots from being expended when someone's in trouble. Instead of just stabilizing someone when they're down, you could heal all of your allies once per long rest, as long as you have charges or the ability to use your healer's kit. Druids don't need a lot of stuff, so it would make sense for you to use your gold on something, even as cheap as a healer's kit, and make sure that you always have it stocked, because you can heal people with it. It doesn't come with a stat booster, it might be rated higher, but healer's a solid feat that scales well as you level up. I'd also like to flavor it, if your DM is alright with that you could use an herbalism kit or find medicinal herbs as a druid in the woods, in the mountains, even under the ocean. Use those to make balms that you can use with your healer's kit to help your allies, and then you feel extra druidic and everyone's happy. Number 6, Fey Touched. With this feat, you gain some spells and you can boost your wisdom stat. The first spell you learn is Misty Step. Many druids cannot learn it, though there are a few that get them on their specialized subclass spell lists. Misty Step is one of the best spells in the game for getting out of trouble without sacrificing your action. Misty Step can get you out of a tough situation, teleport you through a barrier of some kind, get you across a chasm, and many other things that teleportation is helpful for. Teleportation is super useful in D&D. You also get to learn an enchantment or divination spell. Gift of Alacrity is a great one, as well as Bless, Charm Person, or even Tasha's Hideous Laughter. You can cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter on someone to incapacitate them as they laugh on the ground, then wild shape into a chicken and use your feathers to tickle them, just for a laugh. But Hideous Laughter is a great spell regardless. Number 5, Resilient. Resilient allows you to boost a stat of your choice by 1, and whatever stat you boost, you gain proficiency in that stat's saving throw. Druids are not proficient in Constitution saving throws, but they have many spells that require concentration to be effective. Gaining proficiency in a Constitution saving throw will enable your druid to not worry about its concentration. You might also increase your hit points with it if you're rounding out an odd Constitution score. This is another feat that scales so that it is good at any level, but if you want more than a +2, you might take this one at a little bit of a higher level to make sure that you are getting a higher boost as your proficiency bonus is higher. Number 4, Alert. Acting early in an initiative order can be game-changing and combat winning in D&D 5th edition. Druids have a lot of battlefield control spells, and they have excellent summoning spells. Being able to set the stage and take the chessboard and set it as you want before everyone else acts is super important. Alert's +5 bonus to your initiative is undeniably useful. You also won't need to worry about surprise attacks because you cannot be surprised while you are conscious. If you also took Fey Touch that I mentioned before and you took Gift of Alacrity, you could give yourself a D8 to your initiative rolls and the +5 of Alert to really make sure that you are going early in the initiative count. Number 3, Telepathic. I've been playing in a few different games where druids in wild shape had the ability to communicate telepathically. This allows them to creep out people who don't see the spider on the wall that is telepathically speaking to them. And so the telepathic feat can enable that for any druid regardless of their race. You can cast Detect Thoughts, then go into wild shape while concentrating on it, so you can hear the thoughts of people you are spying on. A literal fly on the wall in a Zoom meeting, if you will. If I didn't make that clear, the telepathic feat gives you the Detect Thoughts spell, and it allows you to speak telepathically with your allies, or enemies for that matter. Since this is a feat and not a racial trait, make sure that your DM would allow you to be telepathic while in wild shape. Maybe they have a good reason, so check with them first. Number 2, Warcaster. Gaining advantage on your saving throws to maintain concentration when you take damage is very important. I say when you take damage because that's all that Warcaster helps you with. If someone Sleet Storms you, the Sleet Storm spell forces you to make a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration. It's not based on damage. The spell just says you do it. Warcaster only helps you if you take damage, which honestly is 99% of the concentration saving throws you'll be making. You'll be able to use a Shillelagh and a shield without worrying about having those in your hands, so you can still cast spells. And as I mentioned before, many of the Druid spells are very good, and they do require concentration, especially summoning spells or Call Lightning, which is a common combination I see with Wild Shape, to summon a lightning storm and have it strike people while you're Wild Shaped. You don't want to lose that concentration. If you couple this with the Resilient feat from earlier to gain Constitution saving throw proficiency, you'll be in really good shape with the advantage from this feat to always keep your concentration going. If you're not Wild Shaped, you can also cast a spell instead of using an opportunity attack on an enemy. Spells like Thorn Whip, a cantrip that can pull them closer to you, can make it very hard for them to run away from you. Number 1, Telekinetic. Ever since this feat came out, I've thought this is just a great feat for pretty much any spellcaster, and almost for like any class, I could see it working. Telekinetic gives you the unique Mage Hand spell that is invisible, which Druids normally could not do, and you can use a bonus action, which is not often utilized by Druids, to push someone 5 feet away from you. You can knock them into your Moonbeam, because I don't think Moonbeam is a very good spell, but everyone I play with who plays a Druid uses Moonbeam, and then they're always disappointed because they forget that the Moonbeam doesn't damage the target until the target's turn starts. But these guys should be using Telekinetic, so they cast Moonbeam as their action right behind the enemy, and then telekinetically push that enemy into the Moonbeam. Yes, there's a chance that the telekinetic push will fail, and then they won't be in the Moonbeam at all. I'm a risk taker, so I would go for it. If your DM will allow you to use telekinetic while you are Wild Shaped, even better, because many of the beasts you transform into will not be using their bonus actions either. Pushing enemies into hazards, or off a cliff entirely, can be so critical for you. If you want to get them into the water, and then Wild Shape into an aquatic beast so you can jump in and fight them with home court advantage, then telekinetic will help you do that. You'll also be able to support your allies by pushing them away from an enemy so that they don't have to use their action to disengage and get away from that enemy. You can really help them in a tight spot. Telekinetic is also one of the few things that say you can choose to fail the saving throw, so your allies could choose to be pushed without having to fail the saving throw. If you want, you could even flavor your telekinesis as you manipulating nature. You could create a ripple through the earth and push it through someone's footing so that they stumble backwards. A strong wind, as the trees blow in the breeze and the wind blows that one target only. You can use your druidic powers to cause water from a river to snake up and pull someone in or push them away from the river, like a water gun from Squirtle. There's still a chance I've been overrating telekinetic because I honestly haven't been able to use it. I've been pretty much DMing for the past year since Tasha's came out, not playing so much. But telekinetic is an excellent feat for spellcasters, especially if they are not already utilizing their bonus action very much. Druids can utilize telekinetic very well, and I highly recommend trying it. That's my top 10, but I have a few honorable mentions for some fringe needs. One is Lucky. If you further want to pad your concentration by boosting your Constitution saving throw reliability, Lucky can help you do that. You can re-roll if your Warcaster and Resilient feats were not enough. Mounted Combatant is also great. You can summon creatures that you ride around the battlefield, and then you can gain advantage with a Shillelagh as you strike them down from atop your mount, as long as they are the same size or smaller or whatever Mounted Combatant says. This is especially easy if you're a Halfling or Gnome, and I mentioned Halflings could do well with the Bountiful Luck feat earlier, so I highly recommend trying that out, so that you can use Mounted Combatant to help your allies or to ride around a beast companion of yours or a summoned creature. If you've read my article about Monkey Fist, a druid monk multi-class that turns into a monkey and then uses martial arts, you can benefit from the Shillelagh as you transform your quarterstaff, and Polearm Master will allow you to utilize that even further. Not an optimal choice, but I think it's a fun one if you want to be a monkey with a quarterstaff in a one-shot or something. And then last, Charger could be interesting for Moon Druids. I mentioned that beasts often don't utilize their bonus actions. You may use your action to charge to get up close to an enemy. You'll be able to use that bonus action to make an attack with an additional damage bonus, or you can do a very powerful shove with extra distance added to it, or knock them prone and knock them a smaller distance away from you. As a druid, you yourself might need to charge up to someone with your shillelagh at some point to get a good whack on them. And if you need a dash, you won't have to sacrifice the attack. It might not always be the optimal choice, but it is different. And D&D 5th edition has been around long enough that I think some of us are looking for kind of like weird ideas to try out and have some fun with. So those are my feat recommendations for druids. Were there any on my list that you would move around to be better or worse than I rated them? Are there any feats missing from my list that you think deserve to go on it? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you made it this far into the video, let me know by going into the comment section and say, "Elements, heed my call." That would be a lot of fun for me, especially if you're a Warcraft fan. Druids are a very fun class. I recommend trying them out. And if this feat video and the article I wrote on Flutesy.com, again, link in the description, helped you select feats for your druid, I'd love to hear about it so that I know I'm making a difference in the D&D world. My wife Opal and I will continue making these videos to accompany our articles, so please stick around by subscribing. We're having a lot of fun making these videos, and we want to keep giving you content that you care about. So we promise to keep doing that for you if you stick around with us, and we hope that you'll engage with us because we like talking D&D with you. We really do. We'll respond to your comment. That's all I have for you today. So have a good adventure this weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.